we saw a completely new meaning to the phrase that quarterback is the most important position in all of sports during the NFL draft this weekend, and the NBA playoffs continue to roll on, providing us with some surprising results. To get some perspective on both issues, I enlisted the help of Rudy Reyes, the host of the Rude Dog Show on Tuesday, to provide some answers to these most compelling questions. So, first of all, Rudy, we want to take the time to welcome you to the Two Man Advantage podcast, and we're excited to talk to you this afternoon.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on.
Now, can you tell me, when we look at the draft, what was your biggest surprise of the night?
The biggest surprise, and look, make no mistake, 2017 NFL draft was huge defensively, a lot of great talent out there. But the Chicago Bears certainly wanted to make the move, and they did. They got the guy that they wanted. They lost some picks in that regard for future reference to other teams, but they basically surprised me to no end. And by the time the draft was all said and done, I really wondered if they had made the right decision.
Can you give me your thoughts on the future of Mitchell Trubisky? Do you think he'll have a successful career, considering the fact he only has 13?
I look at Trubisky, I look what he did while he was with Carolina, and I think to myself, it's kind of it's a juice worth the sweet in that regard. And when you look at guys who have had very little start in relation to, you talked about Brock Osweiler and saying that, well, he had excellent starts for the Denver Broncos, didn't translate well over to the Houston Texans, but at the end of the day, this is a business. It's about production. I think Trubisky had a little bit of time to make that determination, and clearly the Bears are the ones to make the determination as well, to see if he'll come to fruition to be their franchise quarterback. So the jury's still out on that.
And who do you think had an under-the-radar draft?
I interview a lot of D2 guys, a lot of D3 talent, guys that go under the radar constantly, not really spoken about, not really talked about. And I like the fact that, guys, just a plethora. Michael Esiobu from Lakeland University getting an opportunity for a rookie minicamp to be possibly trying out for a full-time spot with the San Francisco 49ers. That's a UDFA move, so I really look at that as being something. We're 49ers been trying to translate what their draft picks are into actually progression, wins versus losses. I mean, don't forget, 3 years ago they were the top of the world in the NFC Championship game, even Super Bowl contenders, and they fell short for a variety of reasons, and they're looking for a quarterback as well, considering, they do have two guys there, but at the end of the day, what do you look for? What are you trying to acquire when you look for a quarterback? And because Kaepernick left so much money on the table, he himself is looking for a home. So I look at Michael Esiobu as being a possible sleeper. And look, when you look at guys like him, I think to myself, does he really stand a chance in the grander scheme of things to have an opportunity to start and be a part of an NFL roster? The jury's still out on it, but my bet is Michael will make it, but by a slim margin.
And who do you believe had the best draft of all the teams who drafted there over the weekend?
Man, that is so tough. You can look at the AFC North. Steelers had a great beat. I would have to say I'll have to stick with the San Francisco 49ers, because what happened was Reuben Foster dropped down to them. Yeah, okay, fine, he had some medical issues, medical conversations surrounding who he is as a guy. But more importantly, what he can do as a player for the 49ers system. And I think he's certainly someone that you're going to look at moving forward as part of the 49ers team to be the staple defensively.
And when we look at the draft, who do you think, which team do you think has to have their draft picks translate into stars in order to turn around their fortunes?
Again, it risk versus reward right now. I know last year we were talking about Liberty Tussle and his face mask incident, so to speak, on Instagram, a photo and video that shouldn't have been taken, which certainly affected his draft stock. But when you look at guys, oh man, there's so many right now. I would have to say with Chicago, Trubisky is just going to really have to find his way through that offense and to make sure that he becomes a part of not only a starter. I think you're looking at a guy who's relatively underrated, but he could be a week one starter in the NFL during the regular season. Any given player needs to prove themselves before they get the opportunity, but being picked overall by a team, certainly in case they have a lot of trust in you, there obviously was some conversation beforehand, but Trubisky is one of those players that I look for to make an impact early and often.
And transitioning to the NBA playoffs, which matchup or which series were you most surprised ended up the way it did in the first round of the playoffs?
I was talking with Oliver Maroney, who comes from a lot of NBA stuff. I'd say that they pulled a sweep at 4 games with no chance for the Clippers, but they really made it to Game 7, and the Jazz, because of how great they are, they have so many key components to them. They play so hard, and they play at their pace, and I like how they've done it all season long, and clearly have done it against the LA Clippers, who find themselves without Blake Griffin, and clearly they have a long offseason. But I have to say the Jazz are definitely a sleeper team for me. Can they match up against the Warriors? Well, that remains to be seen. But I can tell you this much: when I look at the Utah Jazz, and I look at their depth of their bench, and I look for rotating players in and out of the lineup, they have a very deep bench, and I look for them to go very, very far. So they're going to be my sleeper team as a part of the overall NBA playoffs. But when it's all said and done, I look at the Golden State Warriors to really take advantage of the defense that they didn't show last year in the finals against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Now, you talk about the Clippers, and before we started this, we talked about them as possibly one of the teams that lost in the first round that may have the biggest roster turnover. So I know you live there in the LA and California area, so could you give me a thumbnail on how you think the Clippers roster will change?
I look at Blake Griffin being there, question whether or not you have to ask the Clipper brass as to whether or not he's going to stay there and be. I think he's got 1 or 2 years left on his current contract, but you really have to look at him and say, well, do we sign Cliff Paul for a longer period of time? He already has a 2-year extension with the Clippers. I'd like to see exactly what they do for roster changes, movements, shakeups, and breakups. Could be some moving forward for the Clippers.
And could you tell me, you mentioned the Cavs and then the Warriors as a potential finals rematch, but what other playoff matchup are you most looking forward to seeing how it unfolds during the course of the rest of the playoffs?
Yeah, I put the cart before the horse because I do love the Warriors. I like the addition of Kevin Durant and honestly, I've spoken about it on the Brewdog Show at various times. I like the defensive matchup that the Cleveland Cavaliers have and what they're going to face by basically facing off against the Warriors again in the finals. Look, there's a lot of basketball to be played, and I could be completely wrong, but I believe that the Warriors, based on those types of defensive changes and rotations of players, and with that addition of Durant, certainly gives them more defense inside of the paint to block out and box out guys who would otherwise just come right up and roll in like Kyrie Irving or maybe even J.R. Smith. And obviously, LeBron James, being the leader that he is, will certainly take it to the next level. But I look forward to the Warriors really taking it all when it's all said and done.
And when we look at the Toronto Raptors, a team that we covered here in Canada a lot, after watching them in Game 1 against the Cavs, I'm not sure that they'll be capable of beating them 4 times in a row. But if they have a fighting shot, what do you think are keys to success?
Well, I believe you're going to have to get LeBron James, who knows how to step it up. When you were talking about the playoffs and the finals, he's been able to do it time and time again. He's on the list of elite players. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson. There's a plethora, a list of guys who certainly are on that final list. I don't have to step it up and really make those points count when they need to. And I think that when you look at LeBron James, when I look at his leadership, he's certainly going to have to be one of the key cogs to keep rolling into this playoff move. However, we have to look at the defense and the amount of defense they haven't been able to really put up against teams. But unlike Toronto, their chances are slim. This is almost like a bye week. If this was the NFL, this would be a bye moving forward for the Cavaliers against the Raptors. But I look for, you have DeMar DeRozan. You still have some key components. I just pass the Cavaliers.